Hello, everyone, and happy Monday to everybody. It's me, the OU flag guy, and it's long time no see. I know, it feels kind of like yesterday that I actually posted a video about Peyton Bowen's recruitment to OU and all the drama that happened in December. Turn around, it's August 7th to be exact. Had to check the time for it. But, real life comes at you fast sometimes, and I have to attend to those matters first before I can circle back around to football. Because, not to mention that I also have other hobbies that I do beyond football during the off season, as well as just needing kind of a breather after a season with like a combination of going 100% during the season and then a lack of content, usually beyond like recruiting and little tidbits here and there, usually during the off season. But hey, again, no excuses though. You're here for one thing and one thing only, and that's football. And like many of you, I've got like I'm ready for the new season. I'm ready to get past that 6 and 7 season and get ready to start fresh, brand new. We're officially like really under 1 month now until OU kicks off against Arkansas State at home. And last week, OU had their first media days prior to the fall camp happening later in the week. And I kind of wanted to just like give you my thoughts and feedback from it and kind of just give some highlights from it. A bit of the highlights from OU's first 2023 presser, in my thoughts, putting aside the white noise that you always hear, always the sunshine pumping from coaches or others, as well as just any of the distractions, as Nick Saban would call it, the rat poison, whatever you want to call it. I just want to give you all my thoughts on it, especially as everyone keeps saying, like, this team is on track and this player has really stepped up over summer. I really want to give you all like a different perspective or just kind of like look through everything. So my thoughts are kind of including is first things first, just to get it out of the way. Coach Venables announced that Julie, his wife, has breast cancer. So obviously, everybody thoughts and prayers to the family. That's definitely something that not only does Venables now have to like oversee the entire football program too, but now he also has family matters to attend to as well. Again, it's not really football related, but it was confirmed during the presser during that time. And again, it's a personal matter thing, and I think he just confirmed to let everybody know like what has been going on as well for it. That's a very deep personal thing for him to share with us for it. So definitely, again, keep the thoughts and prayers with the family. I know rumors have been floating around that the fans have really been pushing for a peek out at the first game of the season. And if they're going to do that, let it be a fan initiative thing. I think if we would have heard that by now from Venables, like if he asked the university to really promote it, that would have already been put out there by now. I don't think that's going to happen. Leave that to the family guys. Leave that to letting them sort that out. Putting that aside as well, though, the focus on the football part of it. Many of the coaches mentioned that they have like more buy-in from the players this year versus last year. Normally, like I said earlier about white noise, I would put that something with that, something I would just completely usually disregard. But considering we had players who just kind of were doing the bare minimum and dialed it in just so they wouldn't get cut, such as Wanya Morris, this is a really, really a bit of good news, at least on the surface. Another thing that was mentioned is a lot of dudes gained a lot of weight. Coach Bates said like last year we only had one guy that was at 300 pounds. Now we have five, which makes sense because I believe it was Savion Bird who put in like a recent post, tweet, whatever Twitter is calling itself nowadays, was massive. Like, dude really, really, really bulked up. But according to coaches, he's still undersized. Another notable name that came up during conversation about gaining weight was our freshman corner, Wagner, gained 19 pounds, and he's up to 178 pounds as well. So definitely they've been really working those guys and really, really getting them where they're not going to be pushed around like they were a little bit last year. There was some really definitely some individual praises for work ethic during the offseason, including Kanik, Wagner, and Gavin Freeman. Gavin Freeman was really talked about a whole lot during the season with it. So by like all the coaches, so I kind of expect him, like others have said at this point, he'll probably be like a superstar, probably on the team if he's given the opportunity to be. Not much was really said about the running backs or the quarterback situation. No surprise, Dylan is going to be your starter. That's it. There's not much there to really say. I'm more critical of Dylan at the moment because Levy says like they're going through game film and learning how to improve on those critical third and fourth down conversion. And it makes me question of why weren't we not doing this before? Was there something that was missing? Um, that just seems like maybe it wasn't clicking last season. Maybe he wasn't learning the plays. Who knows? Regardless, I'm a little more critical than that, but nothing really to say else about the quarterbacks. Dylan's your starter. Jackson Arnold will only become the starter if Dylan gets injured at this point. The O line is pretty set outside of left guard. If everyone's prediction is true, then Matauer is going to be the right guard, and it is what it is for now, guys. I think the second and third strings are going to replace him sometime during the middle of the season. I do have some concerns, however, if they're already naming starters going into the season, which is something I'll mention too with the wide receivers in just a moment. But at the same time, if he's getting the nod, it has to be purely due to experience and just not having and just needing a body on the O line because there's no other reason based on his performance last year that he should be first string at all. Again, maybe we're all wrong and he really has improved under Brent in year 2, but it's very much at a point. It's a show, don't tell. Otherwise, like there's too many things working against him at the moment. Again, show, don't tell. They also mentioned as well that the D line may have an entire new lineup with the exception of Stutzman. To me, it sounds like the raw talent and the young bloods and the young dogs are definitely getting the nod. Some people are taking that as a negative. I see it as a positive because that means everybody is competing for that spot. That means to me that there is a lot of talent on the field versus some of the talent we may have had last year that was getting tossed around a bit. With the exception of Stutzman, it sounds like he clearly outright won his position for it, which should be no surprise to anybody. Um, Wide receivers, like I mentioned above, definitely has some growth, considering that they need some guys to step up since Mims and Braden are gone this year. Levitt said that Nick Anderson is the healthiest he's ever been, as well as Gavin Freeman being the best wide receiver on the team by far, which is great because wide receiver is an area of concern and really, really where we're thin at. On the flip side, because you got to keep it real, you got to keep it real. A comment has me very, very concerned. Is what I just said. Freeman is the best wide receiver by far. That gives me a lot of red flags of are we going to we're going to need more guys to step up because if he's beating out Stoops and Farouk, I have a lot of concerns with it. Like we need a guy, and having just one name drop and saying he's leaps and bounds above others, again, that gives me concerns versus like having everybody like getting looks and everything like that. Um, Tight end, Stogner's been getting a lot of praise, but stating the obvious, Stogner has to stay healthy because there is nobody behind him because they're all injured. Um, or we're just very, very thin. Again, very, very brief on running backs. Running backs didn't get a whole lot of mentions for it. It was almost like glossed over by DeMarco Murray, but he definitely mentioned the running backs and the corners with Williams at this point. Um, Finally, kind of going into there, we had some injuries like Caden Helms. There's no timeline on him being back. JJ Hester, he won't be back for a while. Jason Lewin, he's coming along. Brennan Thompson has tonsils. He'll be back at some point. Jacob Sexton, they're looking at mid-September. Jacob Lacey, he has blood clots. There's no telling when he's going to be on the field. I saw something as far as late December at this point. Obviously, blood clots are a very, very, very scary thing. Got to get that taken care of first, but who knows when he's going to be on the field at this point. You got to plan without him. Phil, I think I'm saying his name right. Phil P. Pay. He's out for a while. They didn't really go into details about him. Shane Witter, he's healed. He's ready to go. He should be starting the games. And then same thing with Robert Spears Jennings. He got banged up, but they're predicting him back early September. And again, all these times, something to definitely keep in mind all these players could return at any time throughout the season and have some limited playing time even prior before that. Timetables change. Some people heal much faster and they will get the nod over some players who may even get more delays at this point. Who knows? We just know that there is going to be injuries and we just have to deal with it going into it. So that was kind of the big overview in a nutshell what we got from the pressers prior to fall practice beginning. These were kind of my big takeaways from it. Traditional sunshine is always associated with traditional sunshine is always part of the process, and they're just going to pump up all the players prior to camp for it, especially with it's the best. They look great. It's the best they've looked ever. It's going to be a national championship winning team. It's all part of it. There's tidbits that you just really have to filter through. at this point, I've learned not to buy into the hype and the coach speak, and instead just kind of wait it out to see the product on the field. I've been burned too many times before believing into the hype, and I've been humbled as a result of it. And how much, like last year, like how much we were missing from the actual Kevin at this point. So let's see how they actually do on the field before we buy into the team as well. But honestly, it just seemed like very minor, boring, and very, very traditional news. I might be going out on a limb, but I think it's safe to assume, or at least to infer, that there are more position battles open than it appears. Whether that means our lack of talent was so bad last year that players, the new players, are stepping up to easily overshadow them, or we are not on track with some of these new players and it's a true position battle. Who knows? Again, that can be taken both as a positive and a negative, and that the young guys are competing against the grizzled veterans. It can also be taken that we have no idea what the scheme is because we don't have a player that best fits the mold just yet, and we're trying to see through fall camp who's going to excel and who's not. Offense-wise, I'm concerned going into camp, again, with some anchors gone due to the draft. I'm not sure at the moment which side of the ball is stronger. My gut wants me to say it's running back due to Marcus Majors, Sawchuk, everybody there. However, with how unstable the O line is, because I'm just worried about how many starters they've already named for it. I think the running game is going to be an issue for it, and that couples already with the wide receiver. You can kind of see where I'm going with that. Again, that could be some inexperience looking at that, but who knows? We'll have to see how the season plays out. It also begs the question as well of who is the single most talented player on the offense, but that's this early on, that's easy to doom scroll and rabbit hole and easily come to conclusions when they haven't even played it down yet on the field at this point. I think you will actually get a read during the Arkansas State game of where they are at that point. Defense, I'm less concerned about. I think Venables is doing a more hands-on approach, and the talent is there. I think there are guys that are going to take other people's jobs sometime during this year for it. I think the raw talent is going to start showing. With both offense and defense, let's just put the best guys on the field at this point. And I do question some of it, but again, going into fall camp without any of that, without playing it down, how critical can you actually be? And again, standard injuries that are a bit more critical due to depth issues. Like I said, fall camp happened, and I'm trying to stay away from the fall camp stuff since this is focused on the presser for it. But the only thing I could think of that would also be a part of it is that they were struggling in the heat. I don't take that into account since it was like 115 degrees, and that I just don't expect that to be what it's going to be on September 2nd against Arkansas State, especially at 11 a.m. For it. Maybe if it was 3 or 5 o'clock, maybe I'm just not worried about it. But that's all I have, guys. That's really kind of the brief kind of stuff from the media presser last week from it. As of this recording, again, as this media day should say whatever football news we need until we really start getting into this week and getting the workout videos from practice in the next few weeks. Not to mention that we're still playing out what's all happening with this conference realignment, what with the Pac-4, the left for deads being left, like are they going to get picked up? Who knows? And we're just kind of waiting out and see like what happens at this point as well. I think the only video even I saw was like them really pumping up the guys and like having their weight like officially like I guess finalized for it, but that's really it for it. Really we're getting into the nuts and bolts this like week going into the season. But that again, that's all I got, guys. Be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you know when I go live and or upload a video. Not to mention, guys, take a look at some of the older videos, especially some of the live streams. Again, they're great background noise, and I really want to focus this year on the channel's growth. That helps on the channel's growth and really encourages me to continue making videos as well as like having the live streams and stuff as well. Be sure to also check the descriptions out as I'm going to be updating that on relevant info and next videos like uploads and live streams to kind of give y'all like, all right, this is what's going to happen on Monday. This is what's happening on Wednesday to kind of give y'all like be on the lookout for the next content that I want to release. Finally, guys, be sure to spread the word about the channel. I have some goals again that I stated earlier that I want to hit this year. And I'm really going to try to push out content really a whole lot this year and push it really hard. Again, be on the lookout for the rest of this week for some individual videos, as well as like kind of a highlight one is what my prediction on where OU is going to land on based on a Reddit thread about like the best programs of the past 40 years, not to mention Wednesday Hangout live stream. and a couple others as we're starting to really get into the prediction part of what I think is going to happen during the season. Again, guys, thanks for watching. Until then, Boomer.